Guys, the other thing I wanted to talk about today is, will Raheem Sterling be a success at Chelsea, having been announced as a Chelsea player yesterday? The signing is roughly around the 45 to 50 million pound mark. I think it's 50 million pound in total once like you take all the additional fees into account, like based on how he does. So obviously Sterling's career so far very good, like couple of seasons at Liverpool as like a teenager, uh, in the 50 million pound move to Manchester City, and has been one of Manchester City's best signings, I think, in the sort of Sheikh Mansour era, if that makes sense. I think he might not be up at the level of David Silva or Sergio Aguero or Vincent Company, but in terms of like the best of the rest, he's definitely up there alongside maybe Fernandinho, um, Edison, Yaya Toure. Like he's alongside them players. Like he scored well over 100 goals and well over 200 goal involvements in just over 300 games, I think. So very good going. And has just now signed at Chelsea, in a stage of his career where he's sort of like at his peak years. He's 27 years old, 28 in December, I think. And so I don't think he's going to get any better than he already has been the past few years at Man City. But I still think he's far from like being in a decline yet. He's still got loads of years before he even thinks about retiring yet. Um, so yes, will he be a good signing for Chelsea? I personally think he will, because every single year, there's always like a divided opinion on Raheem Sterling about, is he like good enough to be considered a top player. And I don't think there's ever been a stage in Sterling's career where he's been the best winger in the world. But his numbers and the way he plays, it's always been at the very least top 10 wingers in the world, in my opinion. Another criticism Sterling gets is that he misses far too many chances. And well, you get players who miss a lot of chances, like Mohamed Salah. Salah misses so many chances that he should be scoring. Yet he never gets that criticism that Sterling gets for some reason. So yeah, for me that's a bit of a lazy criticism if you are only targeting it because you have an agenda against a player, which is, in my opinion, is what a lot of people have for some reason. I don't understand it, to be honest. Like in this country, Sterling has sometimes been hammered by like the press for no reason, and yeah, in some of I think he's played at one, two, three, four tournaments for England now. The World Cup, I mean, 2 minutes into his first World Cup, he nearly scored an absolute rocket against Italy. In fact, 80% of the people in this country thought it went in the top corner. But England were awful that World Cup. 2016 at the Euros, England were awful, so it wasn't just him. 2018 World Cup, okay, he didn't have the best tournament ever, and England did quite well. But that happens. And at the last Euros, England, I have to say it, were average for the first few games of that tournament. They not the first few games, but like the group stage, I thought. But Sterling pulled them through. He scored England's only 2 goals in the group stage and helped them get them through. He scored the opener against Germany in the last 16. Big part of why they got through. And did just played well throughout the tournament. So yeah, the amount of criticism he gets in this country is ridiculous, I think. And the reason I think he'll do it well at Chelsea is because he's going to be a consistent starter, which he wasn't at Man City, purely because of how Pep Guardiola chooses to use the players in his squad. He prefers to keep them fresh, not try and like burn them out. So that's why he usually has two players in every position, just so he can switch it up, and two players who he's comfortable like that aren't weaker or don't weaken the side. So at Chelsea, yeah, he'll be a starter because they haven't really got nailed on front three. Mason Mount is sort of guaranteed himself position in that sort of front three. It's not really a front three. It's more like one plays as an attacking midfielder, one plays as a sort of centre forward, and the other one's like a wise player from the left who comes in. That's going to be Sterling's role. He's going to be playing the role that Timo Werner or Christian Pulisic played. So he'll likely be alongside Kai Havertz and Mason Mount next season up front. I think he's nailed on the starting position to begin with. Obviously, if his form drops off, he'll be like pulled out of the side, and maybe they'll try something different. But I think because he's just got that much Premier League experience, and he showed for the past decade now that he can perform at a consistently high level and score just loads of goals. I think I heard a statistic the other day that Sterling has scored 10 goals in every season for like 8 years running now, which I mean it's a phenomenal record. So yeah, if he can keep that up at Chelsea with probably more game time, because Sterling is a player who up to this point in his career has had so little injury problems as well. So that's another thing you're getting out of Sterling, reliable in terms of availability, which is something that's really important and something that is, underestimated in football these days. Um, so yeah, that's another thing you get with Sterling. So for me, I think this is a brilliant move by Chelsea. I think for just under 50 million. I know um, we're at this point in football now, in like a post-COVID era, where teams have sort of stopped wanting to pay £100 million for players who aren't, in their early mid 20s. Like Sterling's approaching his late 20s now, and this isn't like one of them fees. It's 50 million. It's not 100. Like I feel as though Romelu Lukaku last summer was like the final nail in that coffin sort of thing. Um, like we've seen it over the past few years with Juventus signing Ronaldo, Barca signing Griezmann, Real Madrid signing Eden Hazard. Like I think this is going to stop now. Probably for the good of football. But yeah, my prediction is this will be a very, very good signing for Chelsea. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.